Hello, my name is Michelle, and today we are doing a tutorial. We are doing a crochet tutorial, and this is what we are making. I will tell you right now that the stitches that you need to know how to make are the chain stitch, the single crochet, the double crochet, and the triple crochet. If you don't know how to do any of those, check the iCards. I'll have links to everything except for the triple crochet. And sorry, it's called the treble. I always say it wrong. And I will guide you slowly through the treble crochet, so that's not a concern. So as long as you know how to do a double crochet, the treble crochet is super easy. I'm really excited to share this with you. It's one of the first patterns I made. It is available in my Etsy shop, and the link for it is down below. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and let's get over to the creation station and let's get going. Let's talk about what you need. I have a pattern. I did it without pictures because I'm making notes on a draft. Today I remembered my pen to make notes on the draft, but you don't necessarily need that. I have the towel that I already made, and you can look in the iCards for how to do that and get it ready. For the dress, it will be fastened off. 32 stitches around here is what you need, and fastened off. You need 1 or 2 colors of yarn. I'm going to be working with this blue color, and I'm going to be working with this white color. You can do the dress all solid in one color, so if I wanted to do that, I would probably just use the blue. I like the look of having 2 colors, so I'm going to use white as well as blue. I think I'm going to put in pictures of the dresses here so that you can kind of see some of the options. I'll show you that there's an option for solid dress, and that of where the stripes are. The way I do it kind of looks like there's like a lace pattern on the edge of a ruffle at at the top, like it's a peasant's blouse, and then like there's a belt, and then there's like a lace at the bottom of a ruffle. That's the way mine kind of appears to look. You can change colors whenever and wherever you want. You can play around with it and find what you like. Whatever color you use for that line that looks kind of like a belt is the color that should have been used on your towel. So I will be doing the main part of my dress with white and the rest as a trim. There is also an option to do a short body or a long body, and I will put the pictures in here so you can see the difference. It's just an extra row. It's all a matter of what you like. I kind of like it with the short body, but I wanted to give you the option of the longer body. So I'll talk about that when we get there. You will need a size H hook, or whatever size you need. Like if you tend to crochet tightly, use a larger hook, and if you crochet it really loose, you might want to go down a hook size. It's not super important. Gauge isn't a huge big deal on this project. And you might benefit from some kind of a stitch marker. I like to use bobby pins, especially if you feel like you're going to pause somewhere to go somewhere and you're not quite done. It's really nice to hook this in at the end, and then it's not going to pull back out through. So that's kind of nice to have. And of course, as with most crochet projects, you're going to need a darning needle, a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and you should already have a metal one available for what you needed to do for the dress, or the towel I mean, kind of like the skirt. So you can just use the same one. For the rest of the project, it doesn't really matter if it's metal or plastic, but it does matter on the skirt part, the towel. Okay, I think that covers everything that we actually need for the project. If I'm missing anything, I will stick it in. We're gonna need scissors. almost all crochet, well, I can't imagine a crochet project not needing scissors, but maybe if you just used all the yarn and you didn't care about tails, that could work. But anyway, you need scissors. One of the instructions after you get done doing this is to set this aside because we don't need this yet. So I'm just going to put this aside. And then I'm going to read through the instructions. However, some of the instructions might be a little bit different when you get the pattern, because a part of this is me editing it as I go through. Sometimes I find I worded things really weird, but the basic concept will be there. So we're gonna pick our color from the very top. I'm going to be using white. You're gonna just do a chain, and it says we'll be working from the top down. So we're basically working like from the neck down, and then we're gonna chain 21, and we're gonna slip stitch together to make a ring. And our first round will be snug. Okay, so we're going to chain 21. So I've made my slip knot. And if you don't know how to chain, I have a tutorial in the iCards for that. So go check that out. Make sure you know how to chain 21. Fairly loose. That's 20, and I need 21. So I'm going to join it. It doesn't really matter if you twist it this time. I like to just kind of make mine not twisted, but it's not as big of a deal because we're just going to actually be crocheting over this. So this time it doesn't matter. Okay, so we've joined it together. Now we're going to chain 3. And this counts as your first double crochet. And if you do not know how to double crochet, I have a tutorial for that up in the iCards, because you do need to know how to double crochet. We'll also be doing triple crochets, but I'll just walk you through those. They're pretty easy if you know how to do a double crochet. Okay, we're going to do 41 double crochets. So when we count our chain at the end, we'll have 42. We're going to do them inside the ring, and we're going to scrunch as needed and frequently to fit all of the stitches in. So let's get going. Let's do that a little slower. So you do your yarn over like you do a double crochet. You're going to stick it, instead of going into a chain, we're going to go through the center. And so we're going to go through the center, then pull it up and do our double crochet. And we want to do 41 double crochets. I'll meet you at where I need to show you kind of how to start scrunching. I don't know if I'm a fourth of the way there. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, I'm a fourth of the way. It's a good place to kind of scrunch it a little bit, because we're going to have these all the way around, and it's easier if you can scrunch them as you're going. So I'm going to do another I'm going to do 11 now. Okay, if I count, I should have 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 is half of our stitches, and if you can tell, it's not actually like this is stretched out more than this. So that's why we stretch it as we go. Also, I didn't tell you, we work over our yarn tail. So I want to kind of stretch it over here because I need to fit the other half along on the other side. So I'm just going to scrunch it over. And then I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to probably do about 10 and then scrunch again. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, when you're counting, I didn't say this, but when you're counting, you can count the V's at the top, but I tend to count kind of right where that little bar right there comes across. And that's what I count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oops, and I just took out 30. And I'm gonna make sure I have another one so that I only have 11 more stitches. I'm gonna scrunch that a little bit. Because see, if I scrunch it way up and I've got a lot, that's okay because I can just scrunch it back out. But it's a lot easier to scrunch it out than it is to scrunch it up when there's a lot of stitches here. I know, I've tried. Okay, so I've got 11 more stitches to do. Okay, if I counted right, I should have 42. I've got this little tail thing. I will cut it off afterwards. I just feel like, why not go over the entire tail? So I'm going to pull this out for a second so I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and then the first chain counts as 42. So what I'm going to do is join in the top of that chain. And then I'm going to take a second, and of course I forgot to say scissors. Let's cut this little tail off. Sometimes it's nice to kind of pull it a little bit just so that the end gets stuck down below. And then we just kind of scrunch this around a little bit so it looks kind of even, but it's not too bad because we kind of scrunched every fourth of a way. Okay. Let's see what's next. Chain 4 counts as the first treble crochet. Treble crochet all around in each double crochet and slip stitch together 42 treble crochets. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that counts as the first chain, and it's coming right out of the top of our double crochet. So to do a triple crochet, or a treble, is I believe what they're called. You're gonna go around once, yarn over around once, and then you're gonna yarn over around a second time. So you've got 2 extra loops. Then you're gonna go into your next stitch. Like I said, this is coming out of here, so we're gonna go into our next stitch. Yarn over and pull up just like you're doing a double crochet. And just like you're doing a double crochet, you're gonna go through 2 at a time. So we're gonna go through 2. We're going to yarn over and go through the next 2. And then we're going to yarn over and go through the last 2. So we've got these 3 sets of 2s, which is why it's a triple crochet. So again, yarn over twice, go into your next stitch, pull it up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And we are going to do that all the way around until we have gone through in all of the stitches and we have 42 treble crochets, counting this as your first stitch. Okay, I should have 42 treble crochets. It looks it's all kind of roughly, but don't worry, because once you fold it in half to make it the top of the dress, you won't even have a problem with that. So let's count how many I have. These are pretty easy to count because you just count each of these posts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42 is the chain. And so we're going to join those together just in the top of that chain. And so we've got our 42 treble crochets, and the next is, if you have a choice, if you're doing it all solid one color, keep going with the color you have. If you are going to be adding a new color, now is the time to do that. So the way that round 3 reads is optional. Join alternate color for this round only. Chain 3, double crochet in the same stitch, makes half of a shell. Skip 2 double crochets, shell in the next double crochet around until you get back to the half shell. Okay, so we'll talk about what a shell is. And we're going to do that around until you get back to where the half shell is, and then you're going to do 2 double crochets in the same stitch as the half shell, and chain 2 slip stitch together, and it makes 14 shells. I need to take a break. I'm going to put this here just to hold my yarn so it doesn't pull back out, and you won't notice that I'm gone, but I will be gone. As I come back here, I'm realizing there was something I forgot to do. And this is a couple days, so I'm reorienting myself to this project. Because we're going to switch colors here, I'm going to be ending this. If you are not changing colors, you would chain 3. And then you would do a double crochet. Now normally this counts as a double crochet and it comes out of here. It's still counting as a double crochet, but we want to do 2 double crochets in that stitch. So we're actually going to go in and do our double crochet there. And that's first half of a shell stitch. And then what we would do is skip 2 double crochets. So we're going to skip this one, and then we're going to double crochet in here. And we're going to do 2 double crochets, because that's the first half of a shell. It's chain 2 and 2 double crochets. And I had to go look it up. Not because I don't know what a shell stitch is, but because depending on the shell stitch, so that's a full shell. Sometimes you'll do 2 or 3 on each side, and then the number changes, and I wasn't sure which number I did, but it's 2, 2, 2, okay? And that's all in that same stitch right there, okay? And I will be showing you that a little bit slower when I do it with the color. You would continue to follow as it without changing color if that's what you're going to do. However, I am changing colors. I'm actually going to fasten off. I feel like I have to show you my alternatives here. Okay, stick your yarn in, pull it up, chain 3, double crochet in that same stitch. You're going to be catching both your white and your blue, whatever colors you're using. And then we're going to drop this to do in later, which is why I think that this is probably too small, but I can still work with it. And again, this is all worked into this stitch, so we're going to skip this one, and we're going to do our double crochet there. And that's if you are going to do it with the chains. Now, I have to show you my alternative because that's what's in my head right now. I do things a little differently sometimes. My pattern says to chain 3. But I'm going to actually do an alternative stitch to make a knot and do one over like you're going to do a double crochet. Go in like you are. Keep it kind of snug because this can get very loose. Do your 2 and then go through both. And now your knot's up here. You've got a double crochet. And that's what I like to do as an alternative when I'm starting with a double crochet at the beginning of a thing. And then this will get worked over later. This will do in later, that kind of thing. So now I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2. I'm going to double crochet in this one. And now I'm going to double crochet in the same spot again. Then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to double crochet in this one. And double crochet in there again. So you actually have 4 double crochets in that one spot. 2, 2, and 2. You've got 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. Now we're going to skip 2 and we're going to do that shell stitch again. So again, that's a double crochet, another double crochet in the same spot, chain 2, a double crochet in the same spot, another double crochet in the same spot, skip 2 stitches and do it again. gonna do my chain 2. I'm gonna keep doing this again. And I will stop and show you a little bit. As you can see, it kind of makes a fancy border here. Now, as we work down the dress, we'll be working in some of these, but not all of these, so it's nice that we have it a border. And we're just going to keep doing that around, and when we get done, we should have, I'll meet you back here to talk about this. That's what's going to happen. Skip 2, double crochet. So I'm here, if I tug this a little bit, you can see I've got 2 more double crochets, and I've done most of my stitches around. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half shells, and I need 14 full shells. So I'm going to do my double crochet, and I'm going to come back into the very beginning here where these are, and I'm going to do a double crochet in there and another double crochet in there. So almost got a full shell. I'm going to chain my 2, and then I'm going to join in the top. I've got my knot here, so it looks kind of funny, but it's there. I want my knot to be on the other side there. If you did a chain, you'll chain in the top. If you did a different kind, whatever kind of method, you're just going to find, you're going to go in there at the top of that. Okay, so that's what we've got, round 3. Now, because this was just one round, I'm going to snip it off, end it. If you have white, you're just going to keep going. Oh, I should have showed you what to do in white. That's okay. You'll see. So I've got 2 tails up here at the top, and it's all okay. I am going to take a moment to do my white really quick. I like to keep it, do as I'm going, because it can be a little awkward once you've got it all in. So I'm going to send that down through the best I can. One thing I like to remind people is how I can see the white or the metal through there. That is going to be where the yarn goes through. If I come on this side, I can't see any metal. And this is the inside, so it will be folded in. So even if it was a different color, as long as it didn't show through on the other side, it wouldn't matter. And then I'm going to come over. So here's where my yarn comes out. I'm going to go over that one just to help catch this, and then go in at the bottom of each of those stitches a ways and pull that through just to make sure it's in. And then I'm going to trim my yarn, put this with my recycle stuff. I like to use it for stuffing, and now that's one end I don't have to worry about later. Round 4, you're going to slip stitch back into the chain 2 space. So bad that I cut that without showing you that. If you skip to number 5, I will show you how to do that. First, we're going to do this as if you were attaching it and doing the chaining method, which most people probably will do. I'm going to pull it through, and I can chain 3, and then I'm going to do a double crochet. First half, or the second half of a shell made, just like before, it'll be worked around and then finish that shell. And then my alternative method, I'm going to make my knot, I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to make my loop around, and I'm going to hold it really tight so that it doesn't come out. I'm going to go in right between, in that V. I'm going to go through 2, and I'm going to go through 2. And then I'm going to make another double crochet right there. And that's the first half of a V made. Okay. These will tie in later, so we don't have to worry about those. Round 4 is, we're going to go in the chain 2 spaces around. So here's what round 4 actually says. Slip stitch back into the chain 2 space of the last shell in previous round. So we are slipping back into this chain space. This is where where we attached. We slip back into here. Alternatively, if you were switching colors, you can attach main color in the chain 2 space. Chain 3 counts as first double crochet in same shell space, half shell is made. Shell in each of the next 2 shell spaces. So we're going to do 2 more shells. I'm going to come over here and shell into this space. Remember, that's chain 2 after you do 2 double crochets, and then do 2 more double crochets. I'm going to go into this one. Double crochet, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. If I'm not mistaken, I said that we did it in next 2. Yep. And then the next part is skip the next 3 shell spaces. So we're going to skip this one, and this one, and then we're going to double crochet. You can kind of fold it over, because when you fold it, that's going to make a sleeve. So you're going to double crochet into here, and double crochet again, chain 2, double crochet, double crochet, and see, now you've made the sleeve of your dress. Okay, and then we are going to do shells in 4 shells. So that was 1, here's 2, okay, and then we got 3, okay, and then 4, okay, and now we're going to skip 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to come into this 4th one. We're going to double crochet and do our whole shell there. So that's 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. And then we're going to finish that first shell by double crocheting over in the same space. My yarn's being weird. Okay, chain 2, and then you're going to attach it here. Okay, and you should have let's start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 of your things. This side here is the back, so you've now got the front. I'm going to take a second and weave in these 2 ends. Now, I don't always weave in ends right away in all of my projects, but these ones that are kind of tight up in when it's all done, smaller projects like this, I will. That is another couple ends in, so less to worry about in the future. I'll do this one after I get around again. Next row. This time we are going to slip back into the shell space, chain 3, double crochet in the same shell, which is a half of a shell, shell in all the shell spaces around, 2 double crochet and 2 chain in the starting shell to finish the shell, stitch, join with the slip stitch, makes 8 shells. Okay, so basically we are just shelling all the way around. To slip stitch back, all you have to do is, because we're here over here, right? Go back over into there, pull your loop up, go all the way through. And that's all you have to do. You don't even have to do more than that. It's just that one time. Don't worry about anything that we're here, because it will get fixed. So then you can chain 3 and do your double crochet. When you do your double crochet, it will cover that weird spot I've got there. And the first half is made, double crochet in the other. Alternatively, I like alternative steps. Here's something I do. I haven't taught it yet on my channel, but I probably will do a video specifically for this. I pull it up as if it was about the same height as a regular double crochet. And then I hold my finger on that tightly. I twist it coming towards me around, and then come back over the top of my yarn, grab my yarn, pull it back around, and that made the first fake half of my double crochet. Yarn over and pull it through the top. And then I like to stick my bobby pin in this right under the V so it's easier to find at the end. That's my alternative stitch. If that looks too complicated for you, just keep doing chain 3s or find another alternative, because there are other alternatives as well. And now do your double crochet, so you have 2 double crochets there. Skip to the next shell, do a shell. Okay, keep shelling around, and I will see you when I get done with this shell over here. I'm back around. I have the half shell to finish, so I'm going to go into that same space, do my half shell, chain 2, and either at the top of your alternative stitch or at the top of your chain 3, you're going to attach the yarn. And there's the second part. Now for round 6, it's an optional round. You do not have to do it. I'll put pictures again here. I'm going to bring up the pictures again to show you the difference between the long body and the short body. I like the short body, but some people prefer a long body, so I put the option in. For round 6, you are going to repeat round 5, exactly the same. You'll come back in, do your back stitch into this one, do your chains all around, stick with the same color, unless you're doing your own random color changes. That's cool too, because I could totally see how this could be a really cute rainbow thing, where you change colors like every round or something. For round 7, this is optional to join an alternative color. This is kind of the belt round, if you will. So I'm going to change the color. And if you don't want to change the color, that's okay. You can keep going. So if you keep going, you are going to chain 1, single crochet around in the tops of the double crochets of each shell. You're going to skip the chains, tucking them to the inside. So I'm going to kind of show you with this before I change colors. So you would chain 1, you're going to do your single crochet right in where you came out. You're going to do a single crochet in the next one, and in the next one, and in the next one. But then you're going to skip where the chains are, and you come into the top of this next one and go in there, and you're going to make sure that bends to the back and tucks in. Okay, I'm going to undo this to change my color. So to change my color, I'm going to cut this off, pull it through, and I forgot to do this, so I'm going to go in and tie in that end. 2 ways that you can attach it here. You can come into your stitch there and pull it up and make your chain and go down in to there and do your single crochet. That is an option. Okay. I prefer this way, where you make your knot and you go into right where you would do your single crochet, and you can actually bring your white so that you work across it, or your other color there, but you're going to pull it up and then do your single crochet, so it's just sitting there. and you're going to do your single crochets in all of these. So you should have a set of 4. And you could keep going over your string, or I'm just going to weave it in across one time afterwards. I'm going to pull in, and like I said, we skipped those 2. Let me do that again to kind of show you. So I'm going to skip where the chains are, go in the top of this double crochet. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to make sure that my little chains tuck back to the back. I'm going to go in my next one, and my next one, and my next one. If you were working over the tail the whole time, this would be a great place to end working in over your tail, because that's 8. That's a good number to work over your tails. I'm going to skip my chains. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do another 8 or another 4, because that's right there across the top, and then I get to my chains again. I'm going to skip those chains, go into the next set of shells, go in each one of those across, and I get to where I am skipping my chains again. I'm going to go in each one of those, skip my chains again, skip my chains. You may find it easier. I just was having an issue with this one. I actually kind of pulled it down once I got my hook through so that it's out of my way. You might find it easier to do that. Okay, and now here I am to the last chain 2, so I'm actually just going to come over and hook it, join it in the top. My knot's a little tight, but that's okay. It loosens up a little bit. I'm just going to join it in there, and we should have 32 stitches around. Round 8. Okay, this is where we're going to attach it to the towel. So let's bring up our towel. Ta-da! All right. It says line your towel up, so we are attaching it at the back, and any picture you have on your towel is centered in the front. So I'm going to kind of get my picture how I like it, because I have this circle, I want it, any picture that you have, you want it to be centered in the front how you like it. Then very carefully turn your towel over, because we're going to be attaching here at the back. Before I do that, let me take care of some ends here. Now, I feel like I'm ready. So this is the back, and I just kind of want it to be centered so that my picture stays towards the front. And we are going to chain 1, single crochet through the stitches of round 7 and the towel stitches. I have an image you can see. Join with the slip stitch, and it will create a ridge. Okay, I'm going to turn this so I can do this. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and when I kind of lined it up, it looks like about right here would be where I want it to go through. So first I'm going to go through on this one, right where I'm coming out of. Go in there, and where did I say? Oh, looks like about this one here. And I'm going to come up through both of those and do my single crochet. I'm going to go through the next one, and then I'm going to come back to the back and go through the next one there. Gonna pull through both, and gonna go through here, and I'm right where I have my joins, so but I will be okay. Let me get my bobby pin out of the way. I'm going to go through my next one, and it looks like that's where my next spot is. It's always awkward to go over where you join things. Gonna go through the next one. And as you can see, I'm just working along that tail now. And I don't want to have to do this one back up, so I'm just going to work over a long part of that tail. Just going to keep going over it for a long time because I don't want to have to deal with it. I just want to be able to snip it when I get far. Okay, we're just going to keep going in the front and in the back, or the towel. So in the dress top and in the skirt, if you will. And in the dress top and in the skirt. And in the dress top, next stitch of the dress top, and the next stitch here. And the next stitch, kind of turning the edge so it might be a little funky, but you can kind of flatten them out this way. And here to the next and into the next. And this is about, I'm going to cut this now. I feel like that's adequate. I'm going to go on my next stitch, and my next one. And then my next dress stitch, my next skirt stitch. Caught something funny there. And I'm just going to take a second to kind of show you that as I come around, it's going to keep my picture fairly, I mean, it was kind of guesswork. I would have been able to do it a little more perfect. I was going to keep it fairly straight there. And it is creating a ridge, as I said in the pattern. We need this ridge. Okay, we're going to keep going in the dress, and then in the next of the skirt, all the way around. Okay, I think this is my last one. Looks like it's the last one on both sides, so I probably did something right. Okay, counting this one, it will look a little funny over here, but you should have 32 stitches around. Okay, so again, there's our chain. We don't want to go in there. We want to join it in the actual stitch. Okay, so there we have it. Our first joining of the towel to the thing. Isn't that lovely? Okay, let's see what's next. Round 9, working in the back loop closest to the towel. Repeat round 3 for 11 shells. Please note, just before completing the half shell, you'll only have 1 stitch to skip. Okay? So round 3 was where we could change colors. So that's the first thing I want to do. I want to change my colors. So I'm going to do this. And this time, you know what? I'm just going to actually do this in now. Round 3 is where you chain 3 and double crochet in the same stitch to make your first half, and then you skip 2 stitches. So I'm going to do my alternative. If you wanted to, you don't even have to actually attach it in that same spot. You could come over and attach it more in the center if you want to. And then you would attach it, you would chain your 3, and then you do your double crochet in that same stitch. Okay, I like to use my alternative, so let's do that. I'm going to make a knot. I'm going to hold it tight, and remember, if this is awkward for you, just stick with the chain 3s. Go over once like I was doing a double crochet. I kind of hold it a little bit closer if I can. Pick a place to go in. I could go in right where I came out, or I'm going to go in a couple other places. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go in where I came out this time. Okay. Oops. See, you got to hold it. I did not hold it. Okay. Then you do it like a double crochet. And then you double crochet in your next stitch. And we're going to skip 2 stitches. So there was 1, 2. We're going to double crochet right there. And make our shell stitch right there. So we're going to double crochet in the same spot, chain 2, double crochet in the same spot, double crochet in the same spot. And we made a little chain shell stitch there. We're going to chain 2 or skip 2, 1, 2, double crochet, make your shell in here, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in that same spot. Okay, and then we're going to keep doing that. Skip 2, shell in the next stitch. And like I said, you can kind of flatten this out this way if it helps you to be able to work on the side here. You know what I realized, guys? I did this wrong. If you want and like the way that this looks, you probably could do this. I find it lays a little better if I do it the other way. So this is where I did it in both loops. Yeah. So I'm going to take this out. Now I'm going to come back and do it the right way. This is supposed to be in the back loop closest. So if you were attaching and chaining in, you could just go in the back loop, attach it, chain up. I'm going to do this again. Hold tight, wrap around. Sometimes it helps to hold that second one. Back loop. Do my double crochet there, and do my double crochet in the second, or my second double crochet. Do a double crochet. I'm skipping 2, back loop. Back loop closest to the towel, which is the back loop, but I wanted to make sure the people understood it was closest to the towel. Okay, so see, now we've got this little edge along the top that will also be there. So we're still going to do our thing here. Okay, we're going to skip 2, go in the back loop. So when I finish the shell, I will show you how it lays differently. Okay. So when you kind of pull it down, now it just kind of actually wants to go down, versus the other one didn't necessarily want to go down as easy. So, and then you've got this kind of almost looks like a fancy little belt thing. So I like this way better. Okay, let me remind you. So this right here is a part of my joining stitch there. I actually only have one more stitch here. And it does say in the pattern, please note that when you get to the end, there is actually only 1 stitch to skip. So I'll finish my shell over here. Do my 2 chains, join in the top of my stitch. And then I'm going to turn it over here and show you how it's looking. So, a little peplum there, tiny one, and my skirt, it didn't stay exactly centered, but it's not too bad. I don't think it would be noticed. Once it's hanging up, I don't think anybody will notice. Like I said, you could be a little more careful when you're attaching if that really matters to you. And then for round 10, we are once again going to be switching colors. Or if you are not switching colors, you're going to repeat round 5, which means that you are chaining back here. You're doing a back stitch into here, and then either chaining 3 or doing your alternative. And to remind you, one more time in case you want to see the alternative, I would pull up about how tall my double crochets are. Hold this tight, come towards me around and around and around and around and over, and then loop it back around, pull it. That makes the first half. Yarn over and pull through. And then I put my bobby pin in just because this can get pulled tight and hard to see where the V's are. So that's a reminder of how to do that. However, I'm switching colors, baby. This is close enough to the end that I will just do in all my last tails at the end here. I'm gonna grab my blue. You can attach here and do your chain 3. Here's what you gotta make sure you're doing, not chaining up the tail. So that's one option. And I'm going to do the other. I'm going to make my knot. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to hold both of those. I'm going to put it through the center here because we're going back into the center of the shells. Pull it up. Go through 2. Go through 2. I like to snug up my knot just because it's a little bit loose, but I'll work out in the end when I attach, right? Right. Of course, right. I'm going to pull my tails out of the way because I don't need those right now. I'm not going to work over them because I'm skipping this section. So then I'm going to do my shell over here. Oops. And this next double crochet, and then my 2 chains, and my next double crochet, and my last double crochet, and I made a shell. I'm going to keep doing shells in all of the ones around, and I will meet you back here. I forgot when I was back here doing this that if you don't remember how to single crochet, I have a tutorial in the iCards. Whew, getting so close to this part being done. I just have the other half of this first one to finish. Did my double crochets, chain 2. Okay, I did tighten that a little bit much, but I can undo it just a little bit. Attach my yarn there. Do an extra chain to tie off, and then pull it through. And now I'm going to weave in my ends, all of these. I should have 4 of them, 2 white, 2 blue. And isn't that just pretty, little peplin there? I just love it. So other than weaving in the ends, the dress part is done. Now I just have to make either ties to tie it around. I like to hang it on the door of my fridge. Or you can make a button loop and tie, and so like people like to put it over their ovens. I don't like to put it over the oven door because then when you open the oven door, the towel falls on the floor and gets gross. That's my opinion. So whichever way you want to do, we're going to do instructions for both. But let me hurry and tie in my ends to weave them in, whatever you want to call it. Fastening options, the button options. It says you have 2 options here. You can make the button tab and sew it on, or stitch it on the front from the start. So I do this thing on both of my patterns, all my patterns like this, where I show you two different row ones. For the first one is if you're going to sew it on, what you would do, and the other one is if you're going to stitch it straight on. So to sew it on, let's talk about that for a second. You're going to take whatever color you're going to use for your buttons or ties. If you are making it to sew on, you're going to actually leave a long tail for sewing. You're going to make your slip knot and then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now you are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. But I want to remind you that up in the iCards up there is a link to my tutorial on how there's how to do the single crochet and how to do the chain stitch in case you need a reminder. You can do a front loop or back loop here. It really doesn't matter. For ease, I'm just going to go in the front loop. So you're going to count 1, 2. Going to single crochet and all the way across. And you will have 5 single crochets across. You are going to turn your work, chain 1, you are going to single crochet across. And you are going to do that for approximately 19 rows. You may decide that you want it more or less. That doesn't really matter. So you're going to just do that across the whole way up until you've got like 19 rows. And then you will do the next thing. Both ways, once you've gotten past this first row, you do the same. So I'm going to show you the alternative way of doing it, and then we will talk about what to do at the end. To stitch straight on, working from the back, attach your attach your yarn about a 1/2 inch from the center at the neck through both the front and the back layers. And so here's the center, and approximately a 1/2 inch or so. I'm going to go through the front or the back and through the front. And I'm going to pull it through all the way through so I can see that I've got my 2 loops, and then I'm going to do my single crochet. And I'm going to work across my tail. I'm going to go in through the back and through the front again so that I'm going through both layers. And it can be kind of hard to pull because there's so much going on here. But once you've got 2 loops, you're going to do another single crochet. So now I've got 2. Gonna go in again, which this one should be approximately at the center. 3, 4, and 5. And again, make sure you're going through both the front and the back. And then when you're done, make sure you weave this in another couple of times just to really make sure it's in there. And then you're going to do either turn your work and chain or chain 1 and turn. And then you're going to do your 5 stitches back. Make sure you get that last one. Okay, so now it's already stitched on. And that's where your button loop is going to be, and you're just going to keep going again until you get 19 rows. Okay, I'm going to do a few more. I am going to be taking this out, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew what you were doing. I want to get a few up so I can get past the edge here. Let's pretend that I have done 19 rows. For row 20, we are going to do our a little chain one turn or chain turn. I don't really care which way you do it. You are going to do 2 single crochets and then read it again to make sure I'm doing it right. Chain 1, single crochet in 2 stitches, slip stitch in the same stitch as a single crochet. So I'm going to go down in here in the same stitch. I'm going to slip stitch, which means I'm going to pull it through all the way through. Then I'm going to slip stitch in the next one, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next one. Now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet in that same spot, and I'm going to single crochet in the last one. And so we got this little divot right there in our thing. 2, divot, 2. Turn my work. Chain 1, I'm going to do 2 single crochets here in these first 2. And then chain 1. If you want to chain 2, you can, but chain 1 is adequate. Jump over the thing and go in. I've got these last 2. Jump over and go in the next single crochet there and single crochet there. And now I've got my little buttonhole. So I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm going to single crochet in that stitch and in the second stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in the chain, single crochet in the next stitch, and single crochet in the last stitch. So I'm back to 5 single crochets across. Again, there's my button loop. Yarn does have quite a bit of stretch, so you should be fine with your button. Turn my work and chain 1. We are going to do a decrease. So you're going to pull up, go in as if you're going to do a single crochet, but instead of going through up here, you're going to go down into the next one and pull up again so that you have 3. So you've gone into the first stitch and you've gone into the second stitch, and then you're going to pull through all 3. Now single crochet in the middle stitch, and now go in as if you're going to do a single crochet, pull up and leave that there and go into the next one and pull up. So you've got 3, go through all 3, and now you have made 3 stitches. You could end off here and leave it, or I like to add this next addition. Turn it back around, chain 1, pull in, go in as if to your single crochet, leave it, go into the next one as if you're going to do a decrease, leave that, go into the last one, pull it up so that you've got 4 across, then pull that through, end it off, and that is makes a nice little tab thing. Okay, so again, remember this is going to be a lot longer. In fact, you'll want to make sure that it's long enough that when you button it, it comes across. You want to be looking at your front. You're going to put your button right here. I don't have a button with me right now. Sorry. It would be cute to have a blue button on this one if I was going to do a button. A white button would be fine. It would look funny to do black even though there is black down in here. And I said 3/4, 7/8, or 1-inch buttons would work great. When you are doing this, before you end this off, or before you even do your buttonhole, when you get to 19 rows, kind of pull it around. I mean, if you are making it for yourself, go to where you're going to hang it and put it around and see if it would go around enough to hook the button over. So like I said, you want your button to be on the front. So you put your button there and you're just going to sew it into the yarn. You could use thread. I just use yarn. Maybe I should find a button and show you. For demonstration purposes, I have a black button. Yeah. We want enough yarn to be able to weave in, do a few stitches in the button, and to weave in it again. So, you know, a couple feet of yarn would probably be good. We do have a couple options here again. I love options. Apparently. I like to give you guys lots of options, maybe too many. Option number 1 when attaching a button. You can come to the back here. You can weave in your yarn and kind of, let me just kind of show you. You're going to put it in, weave, you know, pull it through, and then carefully so you don't pull it all the way out. Go back in again and weave it in, and then move your needle to the center where you're going to attach your button. So I think I can pull this back out if I do that. And then you would go over back a couple more so that you're where you're going to be attaching your button. Another option that you could do is make it so that you weave your ends in afterwards. So you can come and be like, okay, I want my button to be right there. I'm going to put it up in, and I'm going to leave off enough for a tail, and I'm going to hold on to it. And I'm not going to do anything with it. And then I'm going to go back down in, and I want to come up in just a couple of times. If you have buttons that have 4, so this one only has 2. If you had buttons that have 4, I like to do X's, and so I'd go up 1, do the other, go up 1, do the other. You could do a couple in each, doing it a different way. That doesn't matter so much. Anyway, so I've got it in a couple times. I'm going to turn it back over. See, it just is in there. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to actually make this a little knot. And then I'm going to weave my ends in. Now let's talk if you want to put strings on it to attach. And I will insert a picture. I'm going to hang this up and take a picture of it hanging on my fridge, so you guys can see what I mean when I say hanging on my door. So there are a couple of ways to do strings. My friend, I call them ties. Ties is a better word than strings, right? My friend, she just does a single or a chain and calls it good, which is fine. If you want to do just chains on both sides, that's cool. You can do that. I prefer to do what I'm going to show you, because when we hang it on the fridge, when we want to undo it, it's easier to undo than a chain. Chains can get a little tight. So I'm going to use my white again. I like white ties when I have white up here, but if you wanted to use a different color for your ties, you totally could. Same goes with the button. Did I say that for the button? I'm going to show you 2 different ways of doing this. I have 2 options in my pattern. Attach yarn at one side of the neck. Insert the hook about the width of a single crochet over and pull up the yarn. Chain 1 and you'll pull through both loops. And continue as if you're doing a foundational single crochet row until it measures to 12 to 15 inches. And then the alternative. So I'm going to show you, I think I'm going to show you the alternative first, and then on the other side it will show you the way that I like better. So we're going to pick our sides here. We're going to attach the yarn. We want to have the whole width of what would be a single crochet. So kind of go towards the back here. Oops, lost my yarn. And I'm going to attach it, and I'm just going to single crochet. And remember, I'm going to weave that in. And I'm going to go until this is about 12 to 15 inches long. Okay. This doesn't have to be a certain specific thing, so I'm going to show you how I measure. I know that from here to here on my hand is about 6.5 inches. I have fairly small hands. So I'm going to put it here and be like, that's about 6.5 inches. That's about 6.5 inches. So this is like maybe 14 inches long. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now, oops, get back here, dress. We are going to single crochet our way back to the dress. And to do that, you're going to skip the first chain and you're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Now, if you were doing both of your chains, you could go in the front loop if you're going to do them both the same. Just make sure they're the same and they match. So you could go in the front loop all the way back, and that's cool. Because I'm going to be doing the alternative, I'm actually going to be doing in the back loops. so that they match. So I'm going to turn it over. Got my first bump there. I'm going to go with my second bump here. And I am going to single crochet all the way back, and I will meet you when I'm back at the end of the chain. You may find that this kind of curves on you, and that's okay. Just straighten it out. It's not a big deal. Okay, I'm getting down here where I have just a little bit more. I have this one, and I think that's pretty close. I'm pretty sure that was my last one, but if I had another one, it doesn't matter. I'm going to come over. Remember, I started towards the back, so I'm going to put my front back over here because I started with my front facing me. And I'm going to come back over about the same distance so you can see how wide my thing is. So I'm going to come back over right here. And I'm going to pull it through both of them. And then I'm going to do a knot. I'm going to cut my yarn off, pull it out. Now I've got one tail tie thing. I'm going to weave in these two ends. And I like to do 3 passes with this one because this is my tie. It gets more pull and strain, so I want it to have extra things. Okay, one tie done. You would do the same thing to the other side if you were doing this method. And now I'm going to show you the alternative method, the one that I prefer. I'm going to make a knot this time. I should have made a knot on the other one, I think, but I didn't. Okay, I'm going to just attach it like I did before, right at the back. I'm going to go all the way through, and I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to come over about the distance of a single crochet, and I'm going to pull it up through, so I've got 2, and then I'm going to, and I also kind of pull it out a little bit so it's a little bit loose, and I'm going to chain 1 here, and I've made the chain as if I was doing a chain on a chain of rows, and I'm going to hold that so I don't lose that spot, and I'm going to pull through. Now I'm going to go in and make sure I get both, get 2 loops. I'm going to go in again right in that same place where my chain was. I'm going to chain again. See, that's making my chain, and now I'm making my single crochet. So I'm going to go in and make again, make sure I've got 2, and I'm going to pull it up through. And I like to do this a little bit on the loose side. I'm going to chain because that's my chain for my chain. Then the single crochet. And I'm going to go in again. And I'm going to pull it up as if I had to do single crochet. I'm going to chain, do 2. And so that is a foundation chain, a foundation single crochet chain thing. So you're doing you're chaining your foundation chain and your single crochet at the same time. And I'm going to do this all the way until I've got this 12 to 15 inches, basically until it matches the other side. And then I'm going to show you the little bit of different thing I do at the end, which kind of sets these 2 apart. So I'll meet you back when I get at the top. But I'll show you a couple more times. I'm going to chain, go through both. I'm going to go in through so that I'm catching 2 on that side. I've got 1 on the other side. It's like going in the back loop. Pull up, and I'm going to chain. So I'm making my chain, and see, here's my V, there's my back loop. So it's kind of like going in the back loops, which is why I did the other one in a back loop. Okay, and once you get the hang of it, and you get going and you realize where you need to go, that's why holding this spot helps, because it helps you know where to put it in. But once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad speed wise. In fact, I find this faster than single crocheting back on a chain. If you care that they're exactly the same, you can count stitches. me, that's close enough. I don't really care. So what I do at the end, I could just end it off here and be done and that'd be fine. But I like to go in as if I'm going to do my next foundation crochet. But instead of doing the chain and single crochet, I like to go in as if I'm going to do it and then just do a single crochet and then end off. And then I'm going to tie this in, but before I do that, I want to kind of show you, kind of compare. I like to compare the two. This one's a little bit tighter, but I think that's because of the way I was doing it. But the stitches look very similar to each other on that side. And on the other side, they look very similar, which is why people will use the foundation crochet technique in a lot of their replacing the chain and single crochets. So I'm gonna hurry and take a second and finish up here. So it does make the ends a little bit different, but it doesn't really matter because if you're doing this method, you do that on both ties. If you're doing this method, you do it on both ties. And as long as they're the same, it doesn't matter, right? Okay, let me go weave this end in. Okay, get that off. And now I've got my towel there. I've got my 2 ties and it is ready to hang up. And I'm pretty happy with that. I like the way that it turned out. And I hope that you did too. I hope that you really enjoyed this project and are excited to make some more. I've done them for the 4th of July where I did white and blue or white and red. Kind of depended on my towel. I had a patriotic towel. I think I have blue and red, white and red, white and blue. I found a little applique star and put on the front. I've done that with a heart. Put an applique on the front. You could do it all one color. I've done red and green for Christmas. You could do 2 colors or 3 colors. You do this color and have a different color here, or you could do red, white, and green. You know, like there's a lot of things that you could do with this. It's really fun. It's exciting. And like I said, you could add another row here so that it's got a little bit longer body if you want. Anyway, I would love it if you do make these, if you tag me on Instagram at So Magical Michele, and the link to my Instagram is actually in the description box. And let me know what you think. The pattern to buy the pattern on Etsy is also in the description box. And so thank you for watching. Remember to let your light shine through your creations, and I will see you guys next time.